Howdy, folks. How you doing? I think life, the universe, and everything is working. I'm pretty confident there is sound coming out of the sound thing, and there is vision coming out of the vision thing. Just checking the audio thing. Yes, the audio thing seems to be working. How are you? Been a good day? It's been a beautiful day for the most part in this part of the world. If you saw the earlier video, went for a bit of a wander along the beach, discovered that trying to walk, talk, and do it all on the beach at the same time is probably more than my lungs are capable of doing, just between you, me, and the gatepost. But it was a wonderful walk, and I've got to say, high tide is fairly high in places. There was really only enough room for me, but beautiful, beautiful little walk and a beautiful warm day. 28 degrees there at one stage. I reckon it was even warmer than that, and the sand was bloody hot. Lindy and Michael Knight. Am I in Geelong? No, but I'm close. I didn't actually pass through Geelong, no. But if you saw yesterday's live on Nun 2K, you probably got a hint of where I was at. So that'll give you a bit of an idea. Don't forget, don't fret. Haven't left Victoria yet. Proving to be more difficult than originally thought, to be honest. So some of the roads in Victoria, I have to tell you, are, well, I don't have to tell you. You drive on them. My God. Very, very poor. But anyway, let's not talk about roads. Let's talk more about my walk today, because I met some exciting people on that walk today. Came back and a few of them were gathered around the bus. Most of them had no idea what Voice of Freedom was, what Freedom Financial Solutions is, or the Freedom Broadcasting Network. So I spent quite a good deal of time chatting with those folks, which was really great. There was one bloke there who has been a follower for a while. Hello, Ian. Lovely bloke. Came up to me on the beach, actually, and we walked back to here together. And we were having a bit of a chat, and he saw my little trailer, and he said, "Oh, geez, I bet you wish you had a car instead of a trailer behind that." And I said, "Oh, yeah, it'd be nice, but you know, it is what it is. I've got the trailer to carry stuff I can't store in the. Well, I haven't figured out where to store inside here yet. That's probably the easiest way of describing it." And he said, "Mate, I've got a car you can have." And I said, "What?" He said, "I've got a car you can have. You can have it while you're here in Melbourne, and then if you want it, you can take it home." Couldn't believe it. So off he toddled after 10 minutes or so, and half an hour, oh no, probably an hour later, he returned with my new car. It's a Lamborghini. Now, thank you, Ian. He didn't say I could drive it around Melbourne. He said I could take it around Melbourne and I could take it home with me. If I could get it home, I could take it with me. There you go. That's the quote. So there's the Lamborghini. Do you want to know the real sting in the tail of this Lamborghini? This is a little remote-controlled Lamborghini. But there's no remote control. Might explain why I got a free car. Don't you think? Pretty nice, though. It's my first Lambo, folks. Some of you have really great senses of humor. Can I just thank you for that? I love the stuff that you do. Really, really appreciate it. So who's in the house? Who was in first tonight? Aussie Sue, you were in early. Sunflower, God bless you both. Lindy and Michael. Veronique, nice to have you in a bit earlier. Maybe you've gone out and come back in again. Harry, DM, and 10 Cent SW's Springtree. Thank you for your sticker, Springtree. I really appreciate it. Every little drop counts at the moment, because we are scraping the bottom of the barrel in certain areas. Getting some mechanical work done for the LPG and whatnot to get that hopefully put back together in the next few days, just waiting on confirmation for the guy to do it. And I've got to be in a location where he can get to. At the moment, I don't think I'm in that sort of a location, but we will see. It might extend my trip a few more days. We'll see how it works out. Yes, Bruce, the Optus debacle. Were many of you guys affected? If you were, you probably still are, and that means you're not getting anything on your internet connection, so you're probably not likely to be able to answer. I do hear that it was fixed up after 8 hours or so. I haven't read what they've caused, what they've said caused the fault. but it was a major network-wide fault, and that in itself, I think, is a little bit interesting because ANZ Bank was out over the weekend, all weekend. I want to say that there are now close to 170 banking institutions in America who have gone and closed their doors. And there were more just in the last couple of days. And when I say more, I mean quite a lot more. There are numerous banks that look to be closing doors, closing ATMs, or at least not replacing any of the money in those ATMs. And I'm sure that you will all agree that we are very nearly at that time where we want to see people in handcuffs for the things they're doing behind the scenes that are affecting our money, our lives, our bloody everything. So I have a list of things here to get into. Let me just make a little bit of room. I got a list of things here to go through. Oh, I didn't tell you the other part of Ian's joke. When I gratefully and graciously accepted the free car that he gave me, he also said that he knows that I can't play the violin, so he gave me a harmonica so that I can bend a little tune out and feel a bit soulsome about the whole thing. I'll have to learn how to play one. All right, let's get into the show. Wind bloody turbines. Get a load of this shit. Okay, now I've just come through an area down in southwest Victoria called Codrington. There is a big wind farm down there. In fact, I've driven through about bloody 20 different wind farms. Victoria has stopped growing friggin' trees and is growing these ugly, bloody wind farms. How ugly? Really friggin' ugly. And, well, you might think that's a bit of bird shit, but it's not. These things leak, and they leak quite a lot. Now, what happens when they leak? Who comes and cleans them up? Okay, when that kind of leak happens, that thing bursts into fire. That's exactly what happens. It bursts into flame, and then you see the little windmilly bits fly off, and the whole thing comes crashing down to earth. But how much oil is in one of these wind turbines? Is that a question you've ever asked yourself? How much oil goes into filling one of those to make the big fan at the front spin? I can tell you, 6,000 litres of oil goes into one of those machines. 6,000 litres. And you can see what happens when there's a spark or something goes wrong, it overheats, there's a friction thing or whatever. Now, I can tell you also from experience that square box perched on top of the pole there, I passed two of those on the road the other day in oversized convoys. We had to get off the road for them. They are over 4.5 meters wide, and they are the better part of 30 odd meters long and weigh many, 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 many tons, many tons. So they're a big, heavy, bulky unit that carries 6,000 liters of oil that can burst into flame. My question is, what happens when they start leaking like that? Now, isn't that ironic? An oil leak from a clean, green wind turbine. But let's get serious. In Wollongong at the moment, they're planning on putting a wind farm off the coast there. Now, what happens to all these wind turbines that are in the oceans already and they're leaking oil? You're going to tell me that all the wind turbines in the ocean don't leak oil? 6,000 litres of oil. Who gets to clean that up? Who gets to even see that? Because I would wager there would be some form of exclusion zone around these poles in the sea that you're not allowed to go near. And it would be hard for you to, see any problem, much less gauge how big that problem might be. But 6,000 litres of oil on the surface of the water is going to create a reasonable sized slick. People will notice it. You can track that back. But people have to notice it. What happens when these things catch fire and fall apart and the fans fall off? Is it really a matter of what the ocean stays at the bottom of the ocean? What other interesting and toxic chemicals and substances are used in the manufacture of these wind turbines that are supposedly so clean, so eco-friendly. Why is it that nobody in the wind turbine industry wants to talk about it? I don't really understand. I know that, they're making a lot of money. They're making a lot of money. I know recently that a number of Australians were flown to Germany for 4 days just to give some sort of presentation about how to con a government into giving you more bloody wind farms, I suspect. 4 days, there and back. Thank you much. Wouldn't be much fun to do, I've got to admit. That'd knock your socks off with sleep disorders. But yeah, but they've got no shortage of money because, of course, the government is throwing billions at it, funding it, because they can't fund themselves. You know what it costs to make one of those wind turbines financially? It never generates enough energy to recoup the cost of its own manufacture. You understand? It costs more to make the big fan and stick it on a pole on somebody's prime farming land than anything it will generate, any money it will generate out of whatever power it generates from the wind blowing in the right direction on occasion. How is this a model that can be sustained? How is this a model that isn't laughed out of government circles when presented? I'll tell you, because there's enough money floating around to stick as many people as you like on a plane to go and fly to Germany for 4 days to talk about how to do it. It's just ridiculous. The amount of money involved that's, I suspect, doing a circular trip. It's being washed as it goes around in the circle, and it comes back in various different investments or whatever in to certain people that are involved in the decision-making process from local, state, and federal government. I think it's at every level. And I've got to say, in regional Victoria, these companies are huge businesses, and they tout the fact that they're great for the local economy and they're this, that, and the other thing. They are the new mining businesses. Remember when the big miners came to town, and if there wasn't a town, then they built one? Well, this is kind of the same. I reckon if they found a place that was properly windy all the time, they'd build a friggin' whatever they needed there. And thankfully, at the moment, all they need to build there is these god-awful looking bloody windmills that look like that and wind up spewing shit like that into our oceans. Now, where are these green fuckers now? Where are the Greens getting up and complaining about that? Where is the plastic nappy that has to go around the bottom of the thing to make sure that anything that leaks from it is caught in it? No, none of that. But if you or I wanted to do something like that, there'd be all sorts of regulations, all sorts of bullshit, and they would do whatever they could to stop us. I know Guru and the team are all over what's going on in Wollongong. I'm going to get Sean Ambrose on for a chat about it too. I owe Maria Zia an apology. I missed an appointment with her today. We were meant to do an interview. I had to move from where I was rather unexpectedly and set up shop somewhere else. So I'll have to reach out and be in touch with her again. We will get together and chat, but she's a very busy lady at the moment. At the moment, she's just a very busy lady. Some interesting self-promotion going out for a bunch of lawyers at the moment. Kelso lawyers, they're on the hunt for sex offenders in every state. Now, this is trying to miss anybody, so to speak. Have a look at this. If you go to their website, you can find the list of offenders. Now, these are the people who've already been prosecuted and convicted. All right. You can go and check that out in each state. I won't show all this to you, but it's well worth going and having a bit of a look at. Just Google Kelso Lawyers and see what you come up with. You might find some very familiar names in there, unfortunately. That's probably the saddest part about it. There is a lot of shit gathered around in those sorts of circles. All right, some other interesting things are going on in the world. Now, do you remember those sticks that they were shoving up our snot and making a very concerted effort to reach into our brain bins with? Well, turns out something weird's happened.
Million people who are receiving those free government-issued at-home COVID tests. The extraction tube in many of the kits includes a chemical that can be harmful or even deadly. It's colorless, tasteless, odorless. It's a powder that's found in things like airbags and pest control solutions. Maya Belay from our Cleveland station checks in with Poison Control for a look at the potential dangers.
Ohio Poison Control Centers are sounding the alarm surrounding a liquid substance called sodium azide, found in some at-home COVID testing kits that could be toxic to children as well as adults if used incorrectly.
Our toxicology community has been both surprised that this was the ingredient in some of the kits and also concerned. We have seen exposures in all age groups.
The Drug and Poison Information Center at Cincinnati Children's Hospital reports an increase in calls to their hotline related to accidental exposure to the substance. So far, nearly 40 exposures were reported there, and the problem is nationwide.
We are one of 55 poison control centers, and nationwide, other poison centers have been reporting a similar finding, and there have been more than a couple of hundred exposures nationwide to sodium azide in test kits.
Doctors advise parents to keep the kids out of reach of children, and when testing children for COVID at home, to make sure they are supervised in order to avoid any adverse side effects from exposure.
Sodium azide can be toxic to humans, to animals, and things that it can cause that we would want to look out for would be like low blood pressure, weakness, fatigue, people passing out.
If an accident occurs, call the nearest Poison Control Center.
The dose makes the poison, and the dose of sodium azide in these kits is very small, and the exposures that we have seen has been a small amount of that.
Experts say following instructions is key. Some adults actually end up using the potentially harmful substance to swab their nose because they didn't follow directions. Nicole?
So those sticks are still available. I think you can go and buy them from your local supermarket if you're stupid enough to be involved in that kind of crap. We always were saying right from the beginning that you can't trust what they've got on or in those sticks, and now it seems to be borne out to be true. That's not a na kind of thing. That's a sad reality. And to my media friends, wake the fuck up, idiots. Come and fight me on it. I don't mean fight me. Come and conversate with me. I know you won't do that. Might not get your bonus, eh? The Optus debacle today was a ripper. We'll get onto that very shortly. I see that Bruce is onto that. Randy, Randy, you're a smart ass. It doesn't run on anything. But thank you for your input and the laugh. I did. Thank you, Redneck. Yes, that is exactly right. The elites version of clean energy will put us back into the dark ages, and they do a lot of damage to wildlife, particularly of the flying variety. Birds attack things in their territory. They're not used to them, and if it just happens to be a big windmill, so it doesn't know the difference, and always winds up second best. So quite sad indeed. They I don't know what deal is going on here in Victoria, but they are absolutely friggin' everywhere. I was surprised to see them in far north Queensland when we travelled up there a while back, but they are not nearly as prolific in Queensland, to my knowledge, as what I've seen here, particularly along the southwest coast of Victoria. I don't know what that's reminding me of. So that's not good. I'm probably going to miss something out here. Cliff, there's a delayed echo. I don't know what I can talk to you about that. I don't know about delayed echoes. I don't know if anybody else is seeing it. Might be your Bluetooth. Oh, it's a cable. There you go. Not me. Okay, let's keep going. There's a few other bits and pieces that I want to show you down here today. Now, Idi Amin, many people of a certain age will remember him, and probably all you remember is a despot. He was a murderer, a torturer. There were rumors that he used to collect heads and hands and would keep those in a honored place in one of his palaces. There were also stories that to torture men, he used to like to get them sexually excited and then put a scorpion on their penis and entice it to strike. And with women, apparently pliers on the nipples were one of his favorite techniques of inducing some kind of confession or information out of them. So not too many good things to be said about Idi Amin. He was around as the Ugandan president from 1971 to 1979, and I vaguely recall him being ousted, but it turns out that he ran to another country and hid basically for the rest of his life. I think he wound up back in Uganda at some point toward the end, but 2003 he died. However, back in the day, he was asked why he did what he did with Israel, because they were very good friends at a time.
But I must make it absolutely truth. The reason why I chased them from Uganda was because of the economy of Uganda. Uganda was going to be bankrupt. That is the reason why I chased away the Israelis.
And you said you were friends with Golda Meir.
Yes, because she used to give me very good entertainment when I go to Israel.
Then you changed completely from an Israeli alliance to the Arab alliance.
I changed from Israeli alliance because Israeli are criminals and that they are not trusted people. They don't tell the world the truth. They were taken to Palestine as refugees, and then they changed Palestine to become a state of Israel by force of arms given to them by Americans and the British.
So he had a pretty good handle on things back in the day and could see what was going on back then. Could that be a reason why all that stuff I told you about him in the lead up to that piece may or may not be true? It puts all that in doubt now, because I only remember it because of mainstream media. I only know the dates because I looked them up on mainstream media. And I got to admit, I do remember some of the torture stuff from the time it happened. But you'd really got to wonder. Now, why did I play that piece? Well, there is a lot happening in Israel at the moment that we are not being told about. Bibi Netanyahu is being hounded daily to resign, and the people want him charged. Now, only a section of the people, it's a very large section, and I would say it's the Orthodox section, because he is not part of the Orthodox sect, if you like, of Judaism. He, of course, is a Zionist, and the Zionists come from the direct line of the Khazars, from Khazaria, better known today, of course, as that wonderful little shithole that Russia is trying to clean up for us called Ukraine. All interwoven. Interesting to see how this all works. Now, the world is also starting to hear from other countries, including Turkey, who are saying very similar things to what Idi Amin was saying, that they have been controlling financially and placing pressure economically on anybody who they want to do business with and do or won't do business with them. They make all sorts of claims. It'll be interesting to see if any of those are borne out in the coming days and weeks ahead. But I do think that Israel may not suffer too much longer from the war across its border. It might be a war for its border. And it might not just be a war with Palestinians, because Hezbollah has stood up and said they will attack America if America involves itself in this. And reports are that they have already attacked Israel. Hezbollah, funded by Iran, of course, and Iran have also been vocal in condemning Israel for the ongoing genocide, is the only thing you can really call it, that's going on in Palestine. Now, why would they be doing this? Why is this why are they having a Palestinian genocide? Well, it's a war for a country, and at the end of it, there will be only one country. It will either be Palestine or it will all be Israel. Now, was Israel granted this land fairly? Was the Palestinian people, or were the Palestinian people looked after at the time this land was taken from them? And it was taken from them by a group of bureaucrats who decided, as the world governments came together after World War II, that we could never let another world war or anything bad happen in the world again. We needed a world global forum called the UN. And one of the first edicts was to give the Jews a land of their own, Israel. Tonight's probably not the night to get into the story of Israel, but Israel isn't the name of a country. It is the name of a person in the book. And it's worth looking into that story, just between you, me, and the Gatepost. There are a lot of weird as shit things coming out at the moment by way of intel. Now, you're not seeing any of it on mainstream media, and some of it could well be CGI. All of it seems to be coming off the favored Chinese platforms of TikTok. And look, take for it what you will. I've got a couple of things here to show you, if only just for interest.
The flat Earth ice wall, they call it Antarctica.
The flat ice wall, they call it Antarctica.
Have you heard of such a thing as no-fly zones? For instance, you can't fly in certain areas near the Arctic Circle or the Antarctic Circle. The reasons being is because there are lands there that we're not supposed to know about. I'll give you one example. Sir Captain George Hubert Wilkins, a contemporary of Admiral Byrd, he flew beyond Antarctica 5,000 miles, according to his records, and he said that he found there many, many lands and peoples 5,000 miles beyond Antarctica. That's just one example of an explorer who has found lands that are not at all on any of our maps. They are excluded from all of our maps. That's why international pilots have such a thing as no-fly zone, because they don't want those lands to be discovered.
At the moment, about pilots and tracking and diverting, safe diverting airports and all that sort of thing. I haven't got any here to show you, but if you are into that kind of thing, they do ask some very interesting and very reasonable questions about divert zones on certain flight paths, and flying to the nearest airport to, land for a medical emergency or whatever. They seem to be going to some very weird places. Well, you would think out of the way, unless, of course, the Earth is flat, and that makes them right there, right on the flight path. But that's a whole other story. Hillary Clinton. Now, for the non-believers, I guess this is. If you don't believe that Hillary Clinton was arrested, tried under military tribunal, found guilty, and executed a couple of years ago, on New Year's Eve a couple of years ago, with Donald Trump in attendance, I can understand. There is no evidence to support it. There is nothing outside of transcriptions of military funerals that, well, we can't guarantee are transcriptions from military tribunals. And there is certainly no video of the fact that's come out yet. So if all that is incorrect, then the bitch is still alive and kicking and carrying on. And there is no clone involved. Nobody's wearing a mask. This is really her wandering around. Well, if that is the case, why is it she's still wandering around.
You're probably aware that Balenciaga was sexually exploiting children in their ads. Some of the top people working at Balenciaga were also openly promoting cannibalism, satanic ritualistic abuse, blood rituals, child abuse, some of the worst stuff you've ever seen. When Pizzagate came out in 2016...
So they were always trying to call for pizzas? You can't order a pizza to the White House.
That's the thing about the ice cream. He loves ice cream. Tell me about that.
Ice cream is big. Pasta with red sauce, he can go deep in that.
A lot of associates of the Clintons share very similar content on their social media pages. Look into John and Tony Podesta's art. Tony Podesta had art all over his home promoting pedophilia. John Podesta had a painting in his campaign office as he was working for Hillary Clinton's campaign depicting cannibalism. Research Rachel Chandler.
The law enforcement, FBI, the Department of Justice, that they look into Hillary Clinton and crimes against children. I encourage you all to get involved, speak up, expose this stuff, talk about Anthony Weiner's laptop. Don't stop fighting until that woman and all her associates get the justice that they deserve. That's right. Lock her up.
Absolutely lock her up. So where are all the people on the streets complaining that she hasn't been locked up, that she hasn't been questioned, she hasn't been arrested? Well, there aren't any. Now, why are there none? Well, probably for two reasons. One, you can probably figure out pretty easily that she has been. Two, that these people clearly don't care about the crimes committed by her and others going forward. In that small piece alone, Pizzagate was referred to, and many other things. If you are following the Telegram channels, you'll see that there is a lot coming out about American pedophilia and a lot coming out about control of members of the US Senate and Congress with blackmail of them having sex with children. Interesting to note that Speaker Johnson at the moment is trying to formulate a new bill which is going to be something a little different. It's called a laddered bill, and essentially it will mean that they will introduce funding for non-controversial type things until December or mid-December, and for things that are a bit more controversial, they will wait to extend that until January. Now, this is sending the US Senate and Congress into a state. It looked like what the Democrats were trying to do before the Christmas break was arrange an omnibus, a huge book of bills that they were going to try and put forward and basically make sure that nothing really got happened. Unless everything was agreed to, the Republicans won't be able to push forward. Well, that's not the case. The Republicans now own both houses and can push forward, but it does require a little bit of support because you can't just push through with a 51-50 majority. It's got to be a bit stronger than that. So they do need a bit of Democrat support. And I think you'll find that this new speaker is going to make sure that that Democrat support comes their way, one way or the other. Speaking of one way or the other, that was a line used by Letitia Harris. Now, Letitia Harris is the New York Attorney General responsible for the charges laid against Donald Trump, for which he now stands at trial in New York City. It is a farce of a trial, a farce of a trial. You can actually watch it live. It is the charges leveled against Donald Trump are essentially, I'll try and précis it so it's not going to be 100% correct. They're involving real estate. They're involving the valuations that he placed upon certain properties for tax purposes. Pardon me. They had their own New York City tax assessors go in and reassess those properties, found that they were grossly undervalued and that Trump wasn't paying tax. That's what these charges essentially come from. Trump has had 4 independent assessors go through all the properties, and they've been assessed at what was originally assessed, or slightly less, given the way the market is going. And Trump has not been allowed to present those 4 independent assessments to the court. How? No, you've got to take it from our corrupt ones. That's all the court is listening to at the moment. So this is eking out those deep state members buried in the court system, in the judicial system, because it is pointing out to anybody who wants to watch just what a farce the American judicial system is. And make no mistake, the Australian judicial system is in exactly the same boat. It is absolutely corrupted. Now, if you want to learn a bit more about the Australian system, and you can find me on Facebook, just my name with the white rabbit, you'll see a post that I have shared from Yuha today. He has written a very good piece that should explain to you the differences between who you are and who you think you are. Now, give that a read. It's important that you start learning about this, because there are 2 governments. There are 2 queens, 2 kings. There definitely is a ship. So if none of this makes sense to you, stay tuned. There's more to come on that. But you can go and read what Yuha wrote. It's quite lengthy. I am going to read it at some stage, record it, and that way you'll be able to hear it played. But I just haven't had time today to get down and do that. Maybe I will this evening. We'll see how that goes. Let me have a bit of a look here through the questions. I see Vince is in the house. Hello, buddy. Hope you are well. Still haven't stuck my screwdriver in the appropriate place. You'll know what that means. I'm just seeing if there's any questions anywhere. Yes. Biden has just spent $5 million on misinformation, and that bill is still progressing forward. Make sure that you email your local member in both houses, the Senate and the House of Representatives, and express your extreme displeasure in what the government is planning and what the Liberal Party is planning on supporting, and the Greens are planning on supporting, as they try and remove people who would try and tell you the truth, or at least reasonable, actionable, researchable fact from mainstream media, so that you can get your programming from only one source, the approved source. Have you watched 1984 yet? Better still, have you read the book? Yeah. You should go and do that, and you should get your kids to read it or see the movie. It is interesting too. I've come across a few kids in the last few days, and kids is the wrong word, young adults, from 14 years and up. All of them very open, very active in the awareness side of things, and very active in trying to spread the word amongst their friends. Now, they're very conscious of peer pressure and very conscious of bullying. They were the 2 big things that I got out of the conversations that I had. Bullying, because if you try and argue with an idiot, and that idiot can't follow your argument, let alone understand it, then you're just likely to wind up getting pushed face first into a toilet bowl or something. Unfortunately, that happens. We have to pick our battles, so to speak. If you've got an idiot who's better at head planting people in toilets than he is actually comprehending words coming out of somebody else's mouth, probably best to nod your head and say, all right, mate, you believe what you want to believe and have a good day. They're the kind of people who are going to self-select their way out of existence. And while that's sad, I can't imagine many people who've had their face shoved down the toilet bowl by the school bully is going to be too upset about it. We are sad. It's sad, but it's a decision, once again, that somebody makes. Yeah. Yes, Sunflower. that's the one with John Hurt. If that's the one with John Hurt and Richard Burton in it, so Richard Burton, then yes, that is the 1984 movie I'm thinking of. It was made a few years back now, back in, the 80s, I'm pretty sure. Yes, because Richard didn't die until the early 80s, I want to say. Yes, I think the early 80s. All right, I think that's about it for questions or whatever in here tonight. I haven't seen much. Yeah, I think, David, you've got a good point there. I really don't care whether the Earth is flat, whether the Earth is round. I don't care if it's triangular. I do care if it's a pyramid. That'll upset me a bit. But I don't. I honestly couldn't care less. The question for me is, why have we been lied to? If it is round or isn't round, why have we been lied to? What are they hiding from us? And those videos probably explain a little bit more. Realms is a word that you may have heard of. You probably think mystical things and witches and wizards and all that kind of crap. Well, it goes a bit more than that. The spiritual realm, the physical realm. Vibration is a amazing thing. Now, I played a video some months ago and I got asked to replay it. So I've dug it out and will do so shortly. Everything, the world is made up of vibrating molecules. And once we truly learn to appreciate that frequency vibration, and we learn that we can project frequency and vibration, we can control it, then the world is going to be a truly different place. Like, being able to bend solid metal with your bare hand.
Watch the glass. And now look at the metal, the steel. That's incredible, isn't it?
No damage to the door either. None. So vibration, frequency, absolutely amazing. And if you get it right, just about anything's possible. I mean, just about anything. I don't think that there's about anything's possible that you will ever get rid of the dickhead.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's rock!